Hello viewers, I welcome you once again in SR Education Python tutorial. Now, today in this video, I'll explain you another kind of statement, that is iteration statement, how to use iteration statement in Python, right? I'll tell you the different ways in which iteration statement can be used in Python, like using for loop as well as using while loop. So iteration statements are used in the situation where you feel like few of the instructions are being repeated after certain interval or in a particular sequence. If you feel like, for example, the case of table, if you're printing table of a number, like suppose 5 ones are 5, 5 twos are 10, 5 threes are 15, you can observe that same number is being multiplied with the numbers in the range of 1 to 10. So if certain instructions are getting repeated continuously for a particular duration of time, or you can say for a particular number of times, then in that situation we use looping, right? That is called iteration statement also. Now you are going to see the same through programming, right? So let me take you to IDLE. With an example, I'll show you how. So my question is that program to print table for now. So now again we are prompting user to enter a number in X. So we'll write this X equals to int. Okay, input. And there comes the message. We are prompting user to enter any. Now, just see what are the different parts of for and how to write for statement. It can be written like this, for with small f-o-r, right? As you know, Python is a case sensitive language. So if you write it like this, it is not going to work. The very common mistake the beginners do, right? So that is why you need to learn. Maximum of the keywords are written in small. So make it a habit of writing those keywords in small in Python. So for I in range, what is this I? I is called loop control variable. It's not necessary to name it like I only. It's optional. And you can use any variable name you wish. Usually programmers used to name it I. So I also have written it I. For I in range, I'll give the start point, the number from which loop is going to start, as well as the stop point, right? This is called stop value, as well as increment value. By default, it is 1. I'll show you what is the role of all these three values later. First, you just see the simple program, how to print table of a number. And you are simply printing it by using the statement x into I. Right. Let's run this program once. I'm going to name my file like table.py. Now let's see the output. Suppose my number is 6. So it is printing you 6 zeros are 6, and then finally 6 nines are 54. Right? So this is the reason you have to be careful while specifying start value and end value. As we all know that table starts with 1, so we are going to write here 1, and table ends at 11, at 10. So we are going to write here 11. Right? Because in for loop, the loop starts with the first value and loop ends with end value minus 1. This means if I'm writing 11, loop is going to stop at 10th iteration, right? So when the value of I is end minus 1, that is 11 minus 1, and that is 10, right here in this case. Now let's see the output again. I can enter the number 6. Can you see the difference? Earlier it was starting with 0 and now it is starting with 6. Again, the last value was 54 and now it is 60. Right, so I hope you have understood what is the concept of these two values. Now let's see what is the role of this third value. Range function can take maximum of 3 values: start value, stop value, and step value, right? So if I, instead of 1, I make it 2. Now just see what happens. Again, I'll take the example of 6. You can see it has printed 6 1 ja 6 and then 6 3 ja 18 because 1 plus 2 is 3. So 6 3 ja, then 6 5 ja, then again 6 7 ja, and finally 6 9 ja. Because I only have given the step value 2. So after 1, right, it is going to execute third iteration, right? So 1 into 3. 1, why? Because 1 plus 2 is 3, right? So 6 into 1, then again, just printing like this, 6 into 1, then again 6 into 3. Why? Because 1 plus 2 is 3, again 6 into 5. Right, so I hope this is clear to you. What is the role of start value, end value, and this step value. Now let's take another example where we are just, let me write the program to input 10 numbers. Input numbers and display the number of user has entered. Right. So now this input statement will come within the loop, right? So we are running the loop for 1 to 11, that is actually 1 to 10, right? And here we are putting the statement that enter any number, right? This way, the loop is going to accept 10 numbers, right? When user has entered all 10 numbers at the same time, one more thing being done, that is this number being checked also, that if these numbers are even numbers. So we are going to write here that if x, this very entered number is divisible by 2, it is giving you the remainder 0. Then counter, there would be a variable called count that will increase by 1. Let's initialize this count variable with value 0. Now the question arises, why to declare count here? As you know that you can see in sports also, before the match starts, the scoreboard starts with the value 0. Before the match starts, you can see a big 0 on scoreboard, and time to time, it keeps on updating according to the score, right, by the teams. It keeps on updating. So the same thing happening here, that loop is running 10 times. Then every time a number being entered, that number being checked for even, and if it is found even, this counter, this scoreboard is going to increase by 1. Finally, at the end of the loop, we are going to have counting of all even numbers. So totally even entered is kept in the variable count. So we are putting here count. So now let's just run it once. So 10 times it is going to prompt me. So I have to enter the numbers fastly. 5, 4, 2, 34, then again 55, then 65, then 77, and then 88, suppose 98, then again 85. So it shows total numbers, even numbers entered is 5. Let's count if it is actually. 5 is not even, counter remained 0. At 4, counter increased by 1 because 4 is an even number. Again, it increased for 2. Again, for 34, it is 3 now. 55, 65, 75, it is not changing. At 88, again, it is changing to 4. At 98, it is changing to 5. It remained 5 only, right? Because the last number is again odd. Finally, your program is displaying the output. Fine. So you can see the repetitive task, instructions for repetitive tasks can all be put together within the loop body. This is called loop body. Right? And finally, the message you are printing once the loop is over, that is coming outside the loop body. So be very careful for indentation. Again, as you can see in this program, count statement is part of if. This if is part of for. We can see the statement for input and if are sharing the same indentation. Just notice the gap is the same. Here also, and again, here also is the same, right? Just notice the gap. Indentation is same for these two statements, right? But not for this statement. This statement is part of if, right? So this statement gets executed only when the condition evaluates to true. Otherwise, compiler will continue with the next input. Fine. And when all the 10 inputs are given, these 10 numbers are checked also, then the compiler is coming out of the loop and printing total even numbers entered is and then counter. I hope it is clear to you. You see how useful it is. Then in just in a loop body, you are going to execute number of statements. In the same way, you can see like if you can see this loop option while you are playing songs in music player, you can say it asks you, do you want to put your favorite songs in loop? If you select loop, then what you notice? Did you notice that music player keeps on playing your favorite songs in a loop one after another? Right, so this is how it is useful and it is used in programming. Thank you for watching. I'll come again with another picture.